All right, so good morning, BS Criminology second year. So we are now on the second part of our discussion this morning. So by the way, I just want to inform everybody that the schedule, there will be a rotation or alternate schedule for our class. Now, for the first week, we'll be meeting through Google Meet individually, from your section 2, B, and C. And the other week I will be recording a lesson, and you have just to write your name as the attendance. I know you're aware of this because I mean, the setting we had, same as this when you were in previous semesters. So ganun pa rin yung gagawin natin. You have to write down your name on the comment section that will serve as an attendance. And if there are some questions along with this, so just simply write your answer on the comment section. So we have to consider your time and the load that you spend. Therefore, this is very convenient to everybody that you can watch it anytime at your most convenient time. So whatever time it is, whenever, wherever you are, you can still join this class, and you will be given attendance, or you will be acknowledged by writing down your name on the comment section, your name and your section. Okay, because this class is for the third section for BS Crim 2B, 2C, and 2B, 2C, and 2D. So something like that. Now, before I start this morning, I would like to congratulate everybody for doing your best in the activity that we had. No, I really appreciate how you define globalization, and I also commend others who really did their best, not just to impress me and to really speak about globalization. So with that, I could somehow say that you really know what globalization really is, and you are interested to learn about globalization. Okay, so congratulations. Give a virtual applause to everybody for that great job, as to the definition of globalization. Now, this morning, aside from the definition that we have to discuss, or that we have discussed previously, this morning we're going to discuss some perspectives, or should I say, some definition of globalization from different perspectives, different groups. You know what? Globalization is very broad. No? It really includes everybody in the world. Since when we talk about globalization, it's an international interconnection. And as what we have discussed last meeting, when we talk about globalization, it really brings improvement or progress in our country. Like, basically, when we talk about globalization, the goal of this is to help the developing country. And we also discussed last meeting the difference between developed and developing country. When we say developed, this refers to the third world country. This country are already in progress. Kumbaga, they are already independent country. Whereas when we talk about developing country, so one of the examples is the Philippines. We are still in progress. We are still depending. No, we're still dependent, should I say, dependent to other countries, especially to the third world countries, especially amidst the pandemic. Like, it was really tested. Like, we asked the help of other countries, the Sinovac, the AstraZeneca, the Pfizer. Those are come from the different countries in the world, and most probably they are from the third world country, because we cannot, or we are incapable of creating our own vaccine. So with that, we can really say that Philippines is still in its progress, and knowing the fact that we are really affected of the pandemic, like with this situation, it really affects our economy. And this is the advantage of having this globalization, or joining this globalization, the interconnection, because we can ask some help from other countries, and this is it. But still, there are still part of it which are, or uh, uh, it's about disadvantage. There are part of this globalization which really brings disadvantage to Filipino, and that's colonization. After we adopt, I mean we embrace the products that they have gave us, that they had given to us. After that, we actually patronize everything about them, and we tend to forget our own. So parang yun yung nakikita kong naging disadvantage, which is also mentioned by different or from with mentioned by a certain author that we are going to discuss this morning. Okay, so let's continue. Let me share my screen now. Okay. So by the way, no, I could not submit the upload the module yet because there are still problem with my e-leads. Medyo may problema pa tayo sa e-leads. But I'm looking forward na ma-send ko siya this week or next week. So we're done with this. Now we will discuss how this Prof. Theodore Levitt describe or define globalization. Now, globalization refers to the existence of free exchange of goods. So when we talk about globalization, we could actually associate this with free exchange of goods because we are open with each other. Like Philippines is open with the nearby countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore. So there are this what we call free exchange of goods. And you know what? These things happen because of globalization. Kasi kapag walang globalization, there will be no good relationship among countries. Di ba? Services, even culture. Kaya nga sabi ko, there are some countries in the world that they offer exchange program. They actually offer exchange program wherein this country, for example, Filipino will visit South Korea to learn about their culture, their country, everything about their place. So that's what's good about globalization. And you know what? This travel is free, fully funded. No, marami actually. Even people between and among countries, not just we exchange goods, but we also exchange culture, services, and people. Like our experts here, they were sometimes land a job in this country. They earn, so they help one another. For example, Malaysia will ask the help, or let's say Singapore will ask the help of countries. Like they will hire a Filipino teacher to teach there, so something like that. With that, there is this exchange of people, goods, and services. Now, people become more interested to travel. So because of globalization, one of the advantages is that people become more interested to travel, knowing the fact that it's free. Then what's next is people learn new languages. Through globalization, not just about learning about their culture, but we learn new languages. So whenever we will work there, so at least we already have the idea about their culture, the life there, their tradition, what are the do's and don'ts, and of course, their language. Language is really important because when we misinterpret each other, dyan nagsisimula yung conflict. War begins with miscommunication. So if possible, we need to learn the language of other countries before we go there, or at least a little bit about it. Some basic information, some basic greetings. So with that, they would feel that we love them and we really support their country. Diba? Now, aside from that, through globalization, according to Theodore Levitt, people immerse themselves into new cultures and lifestyle. So this definition is, for me, it is somehow positive and negative. Why? So first, positive because we will immerse ourselves in their culture, like we will be aware of their culture. And what's about lifestyle? Ito yung hindi maganda sa lifestyle, no? For example, their lifestyle is very expensive. Then when we go back here in our country, we used to it and we try to adapt it here. So and we influence others. So we tend to forget our own lifestyle. You know what, Filipinos, as Filipino, we have our own lifestyle and we need to embrace that. So it's just okay to learn about their lifestyle, but as we go back here, let's see to it that it's still who we are. Diba? Kasi minsan may mga Pilipino na nakapunta ng Amerika, meron yung nakita ko sa Facebook, I don't think if you already watched this, like a certain woman who, I guess, I don't think if it is in America, basta sa abroad siya, then umuwi siya dito. Meron yung nakita ko na hindi na siya kumakain ng bulad, and my God, she confidently posted it on Facebook. So of course, what she would expect? She will earn some bash, negative comments from Filipinos, ka-OA man, or something like that. Because we don't know her reason. Maybe she already embraced herself, the lifestyle of this country. So wag naman, we should be versatile or we should be adaptive. Like, we'll just simply adapt their culture, their lifestyle. But as we go back here in our country, we should remain who we really are as Filipino. Then isa pa yun, nung umuwi siya ng Pilipinas daw, hindi siya daw she gonna take a bath daw using the bare water, yung mga tap water or the nawasa one. What she did was, she bought mineral water. Diba? Like allergy na siya sa tubig ng Pilipinas. So, I don't think if they just trying to earn some fame, some glamour, some popularity, but that really connotes negative message towards Filipino who work in abroad or who live in abroad. Di ba parang negative yung naging impact because of that, because they really adapted, they really embrace the culture of others and they tend to forget their ours. Di ba? Their own, ours, or own culture. So I hope you won't be like that kasi it's very negative. Now, for UNCTAD, or the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, for them, globalization is a closer integration of national economies through trade and financial flows, as well as cross-border migration of people. Globalization brings three freedoms. First, free movement of goods or products, services, capital or investment, and person. So if we observe on the definition of UNCTAD, it's more on business, it's more on economy. Like through globalization, they emphasize that there will be this financial flows. Like we can exchange financial help, we can ask the help of other countries, diba? And one more example of this is, I don't think if you're aware of that kind of business, yung ginagawa siya online wherein ano ba yun siya? I forgot actually. One of my friends invited me to join yung parang exchange currency yung ginagawa. Yung crypto ba yun? Cryptocurrency, something like that. Like they exchange money, like they invested peso and it will earn and earn. Parang mataas na mataas siya. So maybe that's something about financial flows. And aside from that, there are this like it's okay for us to lend money from other countries. Like we will borrow money from other countries, diba? Something like that, to invest something. And you know what? In the earlier times, there are this several presidents who manage our country na nagkaroon tayo ng malaking utang. No, hanggang umabot sa time ni Corazon Aquino. If you go back with your history subject, no, like nagkautang ang Pilipinas because of this. This is a disadvantage of this. Like, since we are open to borrow money, naging dependent na tayo, no? Like, we are very dependent with other country, no? We depend on them. Hindi tayo naging independent because we have this good relationship. Like, we keep on thinking na we have this good relationship. But after all, tumataas. Tulad ng nangyari, I will give you an example. So far, di pa man nangyari sa ating bansa. Are you aware of Ghana, country Ghana? It's in South Africa wherein ang Ghana, way back in the early days, no, they borrowed money from China. So what happened now is they are incapable of paying the debts that they earned. I mean, they borrowed from China. Alam naman natin ang China, very mautak si Chinese people. So what they did is, since Ghana, tumaas yung utang ng Ghana because of this free financial flows. Isa ito sa naging cause kung bakit napahiram ang Ghana, or I mean, Ghana is encouraged to borrow money kasi nga because of this globalization, di ba? Can you get the point? Because of this financial flows. Now, what happened with Ghana? Since hindi sila nakapagbayad class, what happened is Ghana is now under the control of China. Like, China is free whatever they want to. They actually exported their products going to Ghana. They even control some of economy, the lives of Ghana people, diba? Because they are incapable of paying the debts or yung utang. So that's bad about it. That's what makes it wrong. And we can actually account na isa ito sa disadvantage of having this globalization. But I believe that it's a matter of being naman siguro practical. Siguro ang Ghana, in the case of Ghana, baka masyado sila naging dependent, no? Like, hindi na sila gumalaw, hindi na sila gumawa to uplift their economy, but they chose to depend in China because of this globalization, knowing that there is this financial loss. Pero yun ang pinaka-problem, di ba? Like, they lose their country, their freedom, amat-amat. So, I hope that won't happen in our country. And according to this group, globalization brings three freedoms. First, free movement of goods and products, as what I have mentioned, services, capital or investment, and the pursuits. We can actually travel from here, going there, no? Because of this globalization. Except North Korea, kasi nga, di ba, North Korea did not embrace globalization. Like, they chose to stay wherever they are. They chose to stay whoever they are in the past. Like, they don't accept, they are not open for some change. So, advantage is that they preserve their culture. Disadvantage, their rights are deprived. They were not given the freedom to do whatever they want. So, yun yung nagiging disadvantage naman kapag sobrang control, no? Sobrang control ng isang bansa. So, I hope that won't happen in our country. So, knowing the fact ngayon, di ba, ang daming gustong maging presidente. So, kayo ba, class, who's your bet? Is it Bongbong Marcos? Is it Pacquiao? Is it Yorme? Sino pa yung isa? Or Robredo? So anyway, pakaboto na kayo. No? I know you know what's best for our country. And you are the hope of our nation. Okay? Now, according to European Union, globalization is free movement of goods because of abolition of tariff, tax on imported goods still, ganun pa rin. But they actually add the abolition of tariff. Ano yung tariff? Ito yung binabayad kapag mag-import or export tayo ng product. Before. But because of this globalization, it's free for us to import and export our goods. And there's this free movement of capital or investment because of lifting of strict banking and financial regulation that encourage investor. So isa din ito is advantages. One of the advantages is that meron na yung free na yung pagpasok ng mga capital investments sa ating bansa without any strict regulation. Kasi dati marami pa yung dadaanan na bangko, marami pa po yung na tax. But because of this globalization, no, I mean, using the concept of globalization, they were abolished. Natanggal na yung, not just abolished pala, but they na-regulate sila ba, na-control kahit paano. So at least, this will encourage other countries to invest in our country or in different countries. And these countries are developing. Now, there is also this free movement of persons because of abolition of visa restrictions. So this is this. But I don't think so if this is already applicable in our country because we still stick for visa. But there is this news, or I mean, I don't think if it is legit, na may parang ang China yata, but I don't think now, parang nagka-malabuante with China. Maybe there are some countries na mag-open, like, we don't have to seek for visa. Passport parang okay na. Because you know what, most of the countries, China, South Korea, Egypt, US, Europe, you really have to seek for visa and medyo mahirap ang pag-seek ng visa compared to passport kasi sa Gensan, meron tayong passport. No? Like, you don't have to go for an interview. But if you're going to seek for a visa approval, you really have to go to Manila and you undergo interview, pabalik-balik. So parang mahirap. Pag hindi ka makapasa sa interview, so may tendency na hindi ka makatravel. But I hope that this will be implemented. Pero yun nga lang, no, I'm still thinking about it. I don't think if you're thinking like this, like mine. Kasi kapag wala namang visa, yung maging disadvantage is that terrorist attack na naman yung mangyayari sa atin. Like, terrorists will be free to go in our country. They will use the name of their country, they will go here, they will kill us, they will invade us. That's the disadvantage of having this. Kaya masasabi ko rin na sana, if this will be approved, it will be only applicable for some countries. Yung mga country na hindi naman kayo nahinala. Diba? It's not about being stereotyped. I mean, we're not stereotyping these people, but we are always seeking for our benefits. No? Yung benefits natin that we are free from any kind of conflicts, war, diba? Like what happened with Afghanistan. Marami. Even in Europe country, no, may mga time minsan na terrorist attacks are rampant. Like, even how strict they are in approving their visa restriction, still may nakapasok pa rin. So how much more pag wala na? Next, wages hikes. Nagkakaroon ng pagtaas ng sahod. No? Because of this, kasi wala ng mga tariff, wala ng mga bank regulations. So parang matataas na yung sahod. Privatization, no? Privatization in a way that these people could actually start building their own business. Our country could start making our private earning with the help of others, no? That's it. Like we can now, through the help of this country, someday somehow, we can do this privatization. Like we can now stand alone with our own feet with the help of this country. Nung nagkaroon ng privatization, if we're not yet ready to stand alone, so this privatization will not take place. Next, migration and outsourcing of jobs. So ito yung isa rin sa pinaka-advantage talaga ng globalization because we can have this migration. People can migrate to other country. Anyway, some of the Filipinos are already citizens of the US, di ba? So it's part of this globalization. Outsourcing of job. We can find a lot of job vacancies because of globalization. And Filipinos are allowed or are encouraged or urged to work in their country because of this good relationship. But if there is no good relationship, there is no globalization, I guess Filipinos will not be permitted, will not be allowed to work in their country. So somehow, thankful pa rin tayo sa globalization. Most especially sa mga OFW natin. I know, most of you here, you have relatives, your sisters, or your parents are OFWs. So let's make it advantageous. However, according to Larson, ito yung sabi ko, this is what makes it negative. So according to Larson, 2001, globalization is the modern term of colonization. Mga pinaganda na yung term na colonization. Because when we hear the word colonization, what comes in our mind is that it's negative. It's invasion, pananakop. Okay? Now, for 5 points, take note of this. Explain. Sige, kuha na lang. Gawin na natin assignment. Assignment na lang. So for your assignment, that you will submit in e-leads, you have to explain. Anyway, I will just post a portal that where you can submit this. You have to explain why is it that globalization is colonization. Again, you have to explain why Thomas Larson says that globalization is the modern term for colonization. So ililib ko muna ito ha, because I will wait for your answer. Excuse me. Let me check our time. So we still have more than 20 minutes. So take note of the assignment. You will explain why is it that Larson says that globalization is the modern term for colonization, or in short, globalization is colonization. What makes it a sort of colonization? So you have to explain that. Okay? Okay, let's continue. Whereas according to Martin Cor is a former president of Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me, medyo inantok ako. This past few nights kasi I cannot sleep early, I don't think so. I am having insomnia. No? Okay. Now, according to Martin Cor, globalization is the onset of the borderless world. Onset means border is being removed. There is no border yet. Kasi kapag walang globalization, yun nga, like, we cannot actually go to other country, like, hindi basta-basta yung ating pagpasok, no? Aside from visa, marami pang restriction. There are various considerations before we can travel in that country. But because of globalization, according to Martin Cor, there is no border. We call it the borderless world. Now, for OMA naman, or OMI 1992, or OMA, globalization definition is complex. Why? There is this multifaceted because it deals with either economic, political, and social dimension. So when we talk about globalization, it also deals with economic, political, and social dimension. Wherein, for example, the globalized or the modernized or the developed country can influence us in terms of economic, politics, and social dimension. No? Like, umabot sa time na may mga bansa na even their politics, their rights to vote are already controlled by their neighbor country. For example, si Malaysia and Singapore. You know what? Dati yan, ang Singapore, control yan ng Malaysia. No, ito, control ang kanilang ekonomiya, politika, even their social dimension, the life of the people there, the way they live every day. But as year passes by, so yun nga, Singapore decided to separate from Malaysia. And you know what? Singapore now is a beautiful country. Cleanest country in the world. Wherein, parang kung isipin, parang natalo niya na yung Malaysia. But Malaysia is wide, medyo malawak, vast, no? Yung sinasakupan ng Malaysia. But Singapore is the most progressive country. Maganda, like very modern buildings, the infrastructures are really perfect, very Instagrammable. So yes, very good talaga. So yun kasi yung advantage kapag you can separate, you have this privatization. Like, you do whatever you want to. Kung anong gusto mo yan sa bansa mo with your rules, regulations, no? The provisions, you can do that because you are already a private one and you already have this kind of independence. Now, it can be influenced by people who define it. Space and time are crucial elements of globalization. Foods are being globalized, yes. We now adopt the food, especially Korean food, kimchi. Yan, that's one of the example. So I hope as you eat kimchi, maalala nyo pa rin sino ba? Ano ba yung mga traditional food ng Pilipino? I don't think, parang halusan pala kung ano. Ano ba yung alam ng gawang Pilipino na pagkain? Pakisulat sa comment section daw. What are the Filipino foods you know? Yung hindi talaga siya gawang, kasi ang puto, parang Spanish yan. Then ang mga siopaw, that's from Chinese people. So I don't think, no, siguro it's the result that our country is, we are colonized by different nationals. Kaya yung ating mga kultura, we are having this mixed one. But for Teduray tribe, this is really true. We have this lanumad, that's our own food. And up to this moment, we still cook this, we still prepare. What is lanumad? Ito yung food na it's made up of pilit na bigas and niluluto siya sa kahoy or sa bulo and it will take 2 to 3 weeks. It takes 2 to 3 weeks bago siya mapanis. And we are still doing that. I don't think in other tribes, if you have your original food, yung original talaga na gawang Pilipino. So yun dapat yung ating i-patronize, no? But I'm not saying na we are not really allowed to eat the foods of Japanese. Okay lang naman because it's part of the globalization and we're still, colleagues in this world. So it's still okay naman to it. But at least, no, we should not forget our own foods. Now, it's not static but a dynamic ongoing process. Globalization involves the inexorable integration of markets. So yan, through exchange of products, nagkaroon ng integration of markets, nation states, and technologies to a degree never witnessed before in a way that it is enabling individuals, corporations, and non-states to reach around the world farther, faster, deeper, and cheaper than ever before. And in a way that it is also producing a powerful backlash from those brutalized or left behind by this new system. Now, with this statement, we could actually say that how globalization really works in the lives of Filipino, like technology or a different system that actually affected the life of those being brutalized and which they are left behind with this new system. May mga bansa pa rin that they have, you know what, kasi through globalization, like people can express the victims of this violence can be helped by the United Nations through globalization. Pero as to that case, again, I will repeat, an example is the North Korea. So still, no, they are being brutalized in a way that they're not really killed, no. But you know what? Based on my observation, may nakita ako nagbigay ng statement doon sa World Youth Forum na isang North Korean people or woman who stated na when people committed mistake in their country, they were shoot, no, in front of many. So still brutalized. And aside from that, their freedom. So that's it, no? So isa sila sa mga tao nating left behind with this globalization. With their technology, like even the internet, we're not allowed to have Facebook because their president or the leader of their country does not want that they will be exposed with the culture of others. Like very, in this way naman, we can say na parang selfish, no, yung kanang president. Because it's your right to live and it's your right to learn new things. Okay, let me just charge my laptop. It's getting low, but okay, let's continue. So, yun nga, no? Grabe yung scope ng globalization. That's why we really immerse ourselves in learning globalization because we could learn a lot. The economy, society, politics, social dimensions, ang dami. Now, for Friedman naman, Thomas Friedman, for him, he has this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has uttered 6 definitions for globalization. First, globalization is about the liberalization and global integration of market. When you say liberalization, it talks about freedom. Okay? We have the freedom to import, export, and that's about global integration of markets. And with that, it helps the markets of this developing country. Globalization is inevitable and irreversible. So hindi nawawala at hindi nababaliktad ang globalization because started from the very beginning up to this moment, makita natin yung improvement ng bawat bansa. Like, we are given this help, we are all enjoying these gadgets from other country, it's because of globalization. And it is inevitable, hindi siya nawawala in a way that globalization is part of our living. Diba? We need the help of other country. Not just for goods, but even in bad. I mean, not just for bad situation, but even in the good ones, like the opportunity that we can learn from them, like the exchange program, the help, especially USAID, Australian aid, isa yan sa mga example na, or I mean output ng globalization. So that's why we call it inevitable because it's already part of human lives. Now, nobody is in charge of globalization. That means we are all incapable of embracing globalization in a simple way that we can. Like, how? As a student, you communicate with our country, you help them by giving some ideas, like may problema ang tulad ng nangyari sa Myanmar. At least ngayon medyo lumamig na, no? I have friends from Myanmar wherein from time to time, like we chat each other, like, how are you? Okay lang ba? So through that, I'm helping him to boost himself, his morale. So with that, I'm already making this globalization in my own simple way because I am connecting, interconnectedness through the help of mass media, through the help of technology and internet connection. Just wait for a while. Another thing is when we talk about globalization, this benefits everyone. Yes, so it's really true. I agree with Thomas as he said. Globalization benefits, yun nga, no, like the technology we have now, the exchange program, the scholarship that we can enjoy from other countries. That's another part of benefits. And through technology, the rise of technology, social media accounts, it's because of globalization, and we can be updated with what is happening around the world. That's because of globalization. Next, globalization furthers the spread of democracy around the world. Yes, it spread the sense of freedom. Like through globalization, it opens the mind of everybody towards freedom, except North Korea. No, but let's just pray. No, like democracy is freedom, the liberty. In our country, we know that late President Corazon Aquino was the one who really implemented democracy. No, like she is the woman behind the democracy. Kasi nga, she took over, no, the dictatorship of Marcos. But I'm not saying that Marcos really gave negative thoughts or negative contribution. Kasi as we go back, no, parang negative yung naging perspective, knowing the fact that we learned from our history lesson, parang naging negative yung, perspective natin towards the Marcos. But as we open our mind, makita natin na malaki yun na i-contribute. But I'm not saying that Corazon is bad, no? But every president has her or his own implementation. Okay? So democracy. And globalization requires war on terror. Ito din. So somehow, ito na yung sabi natin na through globalization, other countries can help us in terms of war. So alam naman natin ang Pilipinas, like we're really poor in terms of warcraft, war gadgets, machineries about war. We're really, we're lacking about it. Diba? Makita pa natin yung gamit ng Israel nung the war between Israel and Palestine, or Palestine, diba? They are very modernized. No? So, this is it. No, globalization requires war on terror. The aim of this is to stop terrorism. Kasi isang terrorism sa nagbablock sa progress or sa good relationship ng mga bansa. Nawala yung trust ng isang bansa towards this country if there's somebody, there are certain terrorist attack, no, that they come from that country. So parang nawala yung kaya they should be stopped. No, they should be abolished. The sense of terrorism. So we're done with this. Now, for the working definition of globalization, the best scholarly description of globalization is that of Manfred Steger, 1960s, who described global as a process, a condition, system, and a force in each. What makes it a force? Because through the unity, no, among these countries, like they can help each other. He described the process as the expansion and intensification. Expansion and intensification has something to do with how this country extended their help in our country. That's expansion of businesses, like the outburst of McDonaldization, the McDonald. Nagkaroon ng mga branches in different country, and that's something to do with expansion. Isa yan sa naging advantage ng globalization. Then the final attribute of the definition relates to the way people perceive time and space. Steger knows that globalization processes do not occur merely at an objective, material level, but they also involve the subjective plane of human consciousness. So take note of this. So through globalization, we can have this human consciousness, like we try to immerse ourselves with the situation of others. Like we can come up with an idea, how can we improve our country through globalization? And aside from that, other countries will give us some new inputs that will improve our human consciousness. They will give us some idea how to improve our country, how to resolve some issues in our country. So it's not just about exchanges of material things. It's not just about, it's not just merely about objective, material level, but we can also some knowledge. We can also learn some subjective plane as to the knowledge that we can learn from them. Okay? Through seminar workshop. Now, in other words, people begin to feel that the world has become a smaller place. Kasi nga, we are already connected, no? Like, we know somebody in different countries. So, parang we know in the fact that parang at least medyo hindi na malawak yung mundo para sa atin. Hindi na mahirap abutin because we already have this good relationship. One can now email friends. Ito na yun. Pwede ka na mag-email agad-agad because of globalization. And through our TV, cable TV, we can watch what is happening around the world, di ba? Unlike before, pag wala pa. So, we really have to wait for a news. And pag may nangyaring sama sa China or US, it takes months or years bago natin malaman sa bansa. So, masyadong outdated. Now, according to the Committee of Development Policy, a subsidiary body of the United Nations, from an economic point of view, globalization can be defined as the increasing interdependence and of world economies as a result of the growing scale of cross-border trade of commodities and differences, the flow of international capital, and the wide and rapid spread of technology. So ito na yun according to Committee for Development Policy. So interdependence, nagkaroon ng independency, no, sa bawat bansa. And aside from that, we have the scale of growing for cross-border. We are free to travel around the world, to import, export. Next, the flow of international capital, like we can earn money, we can obtain money, or other country will let us borrow their money for some business purposes, so it's free. And of course, ito yung pinaka-alam kong alam, the spread of technologies. Like because of globalization, we are now enjoying different gadgets, Apple, ano pa ba, Samsung, those who are, which are not Philippine made. Kasi tayo nga, we could not still stand alone. Meron nga tayong my phone, di ba? Pero yung quality, as to the quality, parang it's not really good. Now, in geography, globalization is defined as the set of processes, economic, social, cultural, technology, institutional, that contribute to the relationship between societies and individuals around the world. Of course, through social, cultural, technology, we can connect with each other. We can contribute to the problem of other countries, di ba? Because we are part of globalization. Another example of globalization is the ASEAN. The ASEAN group is a group of Asian countries wherein they help each other. They have this contribution to each other, whether it is in material or in knowledge. It is a progressive process by which exchanges and flows between different parts of the world are intensified. No? Like expanded. Lahat kumbaga connected. Nagkaroon ng beautiful or mutual connection because of globalization. Wala na masyadong war, wala na masyadong conflict. Now, a person's perspective shape his or her definition of globalization. But then again, sometimes definition relies on the perspective of the person. That's why if you observe, I ask you to make your own definition. And out from that definition, I can infer na ganun yung iyong perspective. It's up to you whether you define it as negative one, negatively. So it's up to you because it's your right and it's your perspective. Or maybe somebody defines it positively. So I can say that ito yung pananaw niya about globalization. Okay? Now this implies that globalization is many things to many different people in different places since we have this different perspective about globalization. Now for better understanding, different metaphors are used to define globalization. Now even figurative languages are already incorporated in learning globalization. Metaphor is a figurative language in English. Yes. I'm having my class. Bakit?
Kakabit ng wifi mo. Ay, yung
Tower.
tower mo.
Doon sa kakilala ko, mapakabit ka.
Magkano?
Okay, let's go back. May mga announcement. Intermission. Okay. Now, aside from the perspective of different people, different experts, should I say, we have also this definition. I mean, this is a contribution of language, no, in studying um, globalization. First, we have this solidity. People, things, and places this harden over time and therefore have limited mobility. No, when we say solidity, ito yung um, mga movement. Like people can move in other country. Kumbaga, how they define globalization is being associated with solid and liquid. So yun yung point ng metaphor. Like they compare globalization as a solid. Di ba kapag solid, when it is being traveled, kailangan ibalot pa siya, kailangan pa i-travel. So like just like people, no, when we travel, through solidity, like people cannot travel freely. May mga bagay tayong i-travel, package, sa mga bansa, we can do it freely, no? But it has limited mobility. Ito lang yung disadvantage ng solidity. Kasi nga, for example, magpadala ng sulat, kailangan pa ipadala. Whereas kapag no need na email, just simply send it, and that's liquidity. Liquidity is ideas, information, and culture. The increasing movement of people around the world helps phenomena to move easily Once they are on the move, they are difficult to stop. Ang halimbawa ng liquidity is yung pag-spread ng news. Tulad ng tubig, di ba? Pag ula, pag ibaba mo yung tubig, iula mo ang tubig, agad-agad, they will spread. And that's about liquidity. And that's something about globalization. For example, may chismis. I-post mo agad, i-share, hanggang makarating na sa ibang bansa. That's liquidity. Or anytime, hindi mo na kailangan gumamit ng solid. Hindi mo na kailangan magpadala ng sulat. That's an object kasi ang sulat. It's a material. Ipadala sa courier and doon pa makaabot sa post office. No need. What you're gonna do is just simply use your email, send, minuto, seconds lang, masasend na agad doon yung iyong pinadala. Or for example, may masamang post, viral agad. So that's how technology works in globalization through the concept of liquidity. Okay? Flows. Flows naman, movements of people, things, information, places, events. Ito na yun. Ito yung process ng liquidity and solidity, the flows. How things move, paano ipaparating yung news. Of course, flows happens because of technology. Technology talaga yung pinaka-heart ng flows. Like, pagpadala ng sulat, application letter mo ngayon, pwede mo ipasend. Grades mo, assignment, lahat around the world. If you want to travel around the world, if you want to have some transaction with the people around the world, you apply a job, you can do it through technology, Gmail, email, Messenger. So lahat yan, telefax, no? They're all used because of technology. And that's how globalization associates itself to technology. Okay. So again, your assignment is you have to explain bakit sinabi ni Larsen that globalization is a modern term for colonization. So again, don't forget to write your name on the comment section that will serve as our attendance for this class. Because as you still remember, your attendance is 10%. Okay? Now, if you have some clarification or addition or any questions about the assignment, please feel free to ask me in our GC. We have our GC, and that GC is our avenue for all of your concerns in our class. Okay? So I hope everybody is well this morning. So again, congratulations. Maganda yung mga activity na ginawa nyo. I hope you keep it up. Okay? See you next meeting. Bye-bye. God bless. Keep safe, everyone.